Launched as well by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, along with leaders of at least 19 countries that have been signed on, including the US and Brazil, to this alliance, the latest alliance that these countries have come together to push for more and more use of biofuels instead of fossil fuels. So all those things that we talk about, pursuing sustainable development goals, ensuring a greener planet, everything can be achieved. A circular economy was also mentioned there in that video clip that you saw. So all of these goals can be pursued through this alliance, coming up with standards for biofuels as well. Now, biofuels have already been acknowledged as one of the most feasible solutions to the diminishing fossil fuel reserves, and that is what is the intent of this alliance as well.
In recent years, the world has awakened to the urgent need for sustainable energy sources. India, during its presidency of G20, is emphasizing on international collaboration for energy security and development of emerging fuels like biofuel and hydrogen. Prime Minister Modi has been a strong supporter of promoting eco-friendly energy options for India and the world. India is one of the leading producers of biofuels in the world. India has committed to achieving carbon neutrality by 2070 and has an ambitious biofuel roadmap.
हम इस दशक के अंत तक 50% नॉन फॉसिल फ्यूल कैपेसिटी का लक्ष्य लेकर चल रहे हैं। हम बायोफ्यूल पर, इथेनॉल ब्लेंडिंग पर बहुत तेजी से काम कर रहे हैं। बीते 9 वर्षों में पेट्रोल में इथेनॉल ब्लेंडिंग को हम 1.5% से बढ़ाकर 10% कर चुके हैं। अब हम 20% इथेनॉल ब्लेंडिंग के लक्ष्य की तरफ बढ़ रहे हैं।
The government has advanced its target of ethanol blending in petrol by 2025-26 from an earlier target of 2030. The target of petrol supplies with ethanol blending was already achieved in June last year, much ahead of the original schedule. Palak Sharma, DD India.
Talk about this further. Joining me now is my colleague Amritpal Singh, and we also have Dr. Arunab Ghosh, Founder Council on Energy, Environment and Water as well. First to you, Amritpal, what can you tell us about how these countries, the 19 countries, how did they manage to come together so quickly? Because there was some views that it might not be easy and it might not be as smooth a process to put this together so quickly.
Well, they've been able to, get the global alliance. So in that sense, it's a sort of global biofuel alliance. It's a diplomatic victory for India. Clearly, India put forth the position where Prime Minister said that, look, we've been using it and benefiting from it, and how it, reduces the use of fossil fuels and clearly leads to climate action, climate change mitigation, and so it is something which leads to that. So I think that made sense to a lot of people. Of course, there was a lot of behind-the-scenes negotiations for it, which India worked hard. So given the fact that they've been able to get countries, both developed countries like the United States and developing countries like Brazil, to be a part of it and get this 19-member alliance, which is expected to grow as other countries learn from the experiences of these countries and how it actually leads to mitigation. So clearly, I think it is a diplomatic victory for India's diplomats, the negotiating teams of under the G20 track, who could get these countries to agree to such sort of energy transition. Gautam?
Wonderful. Just stick around, Amritpal. Dr. Ghosh, if I could ask you, what do you make of this alliance which has come together? How significant is it in terms of finding ways to replace fossil fuels with biofuels, and to what extent would it benefit our environment?
Well, it's extremely significant on 3 counts. First is the pace at which, from the proposal to the announcement, Even at the Energy Transition Working Group meeting in July in Goa this year, this was mooted and this was discussed, but now we have the formal announcement of the alliance along with 19 countries. It just demonstrates that it's another signal, another symbol of India's approach towards an action-oriented G20. The second reason this is particularly important is that even with rapid electrification of our transport systems across the world, there will be continued need for liquid fuels for heavy transportation and other forms of transportation, including sustainable aviation fuels or shipping. So to look at the transport sector in its entirety and then come up with an alliance that can deliver answers on that front is critical. And the third approach is that as we come together with countries like Brazil, the United States, it's another example of India not just serving as a voice of the global south, but a bridge between the global south and the global north. How major agricultural economies like Brazil, major consumers of fuel like the United States, as well as regions like India where the research on second generation and third generation biofuels can take precedence. This allows us to create a new paradigm of technology co-development, of climate mitigation, while doing it collaboratively, rather than hoping that technology is developed in one place and the rest of the world keeps waiting for that to arrive. It's a very different paradigm of developing institutions of the 21st century. India did it a few years ago with the International Solar Alliance, and now we have the Global Biofuel Alliance.
Sounds great. If I could again ask you, Amritpal, there was a lot of speculation that particularly oil-producing countries and who are part of the G20, Russia, just to name one, would have a problem with the Sulphur Alliance, but evidently it was not. So again, this is quite a pleasant surprise, really.
You know, Gautam, when it comes to climate, like other geopolitical issues, be it climate finance, be it mitigation, there are differences, and that's nothing. There's no gainsaying that there are no differences. What these countries, when these negotiators sit in that room, what they try to do is saying they try to find the middle path, where trying to see that, all right, we understand your interests are getting harmed here. You would want to protect your interests. But there is a problem at hand of climate change, which needs to be arrested, which needs to be mitigated. We need to put in those kind of resources. So they try and find ways to go around it. And I think that is where diplomacy comes in, and that is what they've been able to achieve. There were differences. There were not everybody was on the same page. It was not easy, getting this through. But they were able to say that ethanol blending of by 20% is something which we've been able to achieve, and this is what we want to reduce our dependence on fossil fuels. You cannot keep holding on to fossil fuels, given that they come in the way of climate change mitigation. So, I think when they negotiate, and the good thing is that they were able to work up this alliance. And as you saw with the Solar Alliance, when you formed the Solar Alliance, there were initial hiccups.
Yes.
But
Amritpal, I'm going to have to interrupt you and apologize